Hi folks, this is Tabi Asobi, and today I will be addressing some of the talk surrounding Monster Hunter Wilds based on my hands-on experience playing an early build of the game, as well as being a long-time player of the series. Close to 2 decades now, in fact, which I guess makes me an old coot in the community. Or maybe an elder dragon. Yeah, let's go with that. Sounds a lot cooler. Anyway, I had a chance to play the game a while back as part of a media event held by Capcom, which I was invited to cover as a reporter for the Reno Gazette-Journal and USA Today Network. So I wrote an article about that, which I'll be linking in the description for folks interested in my initial impressions. Basically, I go through some of the new features and also note that Wilds feels a lot closer to World than it does to Rise. Now, given that it was an early build that was limited to the very beginning of the game, I think it's honestly too early to judge certain aspects of the game right now, like gear diversity and difficulty, for example. I mean, honestly, I feel that Monster Hunter games really don't ramp up in difficulty until their G-Rank versions are released anyway. So that would be Master Rank, by the way, for you folks who started with World. Yeah, sorry, old habits die hard. Now, all that being said, I'm already seeing some folks saying some of the changes in Wilds makes the game seem too easy or dumbed down, and feel less like a Monster Hunter game. Although one thing I found interesting is that some of those comments are actually coming from people who started playing the series with base World, which is like arguably the easiest Monster Hunter game in the mainline series. All I'll say is, welcome to the club. Whether it be the expansion of item box space after the first game, the introduction of the target camera in 3U, or the ability to mount monsters in Monster Hunter 4, or even scaling monster HP based on the number of players in World, players voicing concerns that Monster Hunter games are getting easier is a tradition with every new Monster Hunter game. Now, to be fair, part of the difficulty of the old games stemmed from their tanky controls and janky hitboxes. Looking at you, Plesioth. I swear, Shakira's got nothing on old school Plessy's lying hips. Your hips lie, Plessy. Now, as someone who started Monster Hunter as Bowgun main, you don't even know how happy I was when I tried Bowgun in World with its improved camera system. It's like I can finally focus on the monster 100% instead of fighting with the controls half of the time. Don't get me wrong, I had an absolute blast playing those old Monster Hunter games. As much as I love those old games though, going back to those classic controls now is pretty tough, or rough, depending on your choice of words. In fact, as the only gunner in my old group, I was also someone who had to have my teammates bring extra items for me so we can sleep gun Elatrion on try, while, get this, trying to avoid getting one shot as I took those mats from my teammates' shining hands and then crafted on the field with said monster running around like a maniac. So you don't even know how much of a relief it was to me when World allowed not just easy item restocking, but also changing weapons mid-hunt. I mean, for me, I always appreciate changes that take out busy work or janky gameplay so you can focus purely on the hunt. Now we have the cycle repeating itself with Wild's new features, whether it be the ability to carry 2 different weapons, aiming and redirecting attacks through focus mode, or streamlined monster tracking. The familiar debate about Monster Hunter getting easier or more dumbed down is rearing its head once more. Now personally, I love being able to bring 2 weapons with me during a hunt. There's just something fun about peppering a monster from range, then switching to Greatsword to land a TCS on an immobilized monster, or lancing a monster till it starts to flee and then switching to a bowgun and getting in some free shots while it starts to run away. And then as someone who uses the Greatsword as one of my main weapons, and knows the pain of whiffing all too well, the ability to manually adjust attack directions with focus mode while charging is another good quality of life change for me. Even the ability to cancel the Longsword's Helmbreaker and not waste your gauge should the enemy reposition is a welcome addition as well. At least for me. This especially holds true if Wilds brings over the more aggressive monster behavior from Sunbreak, where they move around much faster, and track you much faster too. I think that was likely done to help balance out the increased mobility that Hunters got. That being said, I will say that mobility in Wilds feels toned down compared to Rise and Sunbreak, at least based on the early gameplay I've experienced so far. Honestly, I actually miss the wirebug mechanics and the switch skills from Sunbreak, which probably sounds like sacrilege to Monster Hunter purists. But I actually like how all that mobility combined with the extra counter and guard point options allowed me to play quite aggressively in Sunbreak. Like, I'm a pretty conservative player, probably because I started out as a bowgun player. It's also the reason I don't cart as much, which is why folks like playing with me. But it was really fun to be hyper aggressive in Rise and Sunbreak. Now, in comparison, Wilds is a lot less anime, I guess as they say, and more grounded in its gameplay. Barring any additional mechanics later in the game, I will likely be playing more conservatively like I did pre-Rise when it comes to Wilds. Then again, that's good news for folks who prefer the more deliberate playstyle of games prior to Rise. Now, I'll be the first to admit that some things have certainly gotten easier in later Monster Hunter games over the years. That being said, even with all the quality of life improvements, Iceborne still served up some memorably challenging monsters such as Lunastra, Raging Brachydios, Fetalis, and Extreme Behemoth, where one bad mistake can result in a date with a kitty cart. In fact, one of the funniest memories I had with Iceborne was when he did that nuke attack and we didn't satisfy the damage threshold, but we also had that meal that gives you like an extra feint or something. And then we all fainted, and then you just see all these feline carts coming back to camp and just tossing us unceremoniously to the ground, and everybody just started quitting. Ultimately though, I'll reiterate what I said earlier, and we'll be reserving judgment on overall difficulty once Master Rank is available. I've always found the base Monster Hunter games that only go up to high rank relatively easy, and not the best reflection of a main entry's difficulty. Until then though, I'll be adopting a wait-and-see approach as I have with all other games in the series. As always, if you have any thoughts or questions, including the gameplay for Wilds that I've experienced, at least with the early build, please feel free to leave them in the comments section. Once again, this is Tabi Asobi, and thank you for watching.